What's up, guys? It's John Mark. This week I am back with World Class Roux. I decided I am not going to do the plan that I had from 3 weeks ago because even while I was trying to do that out, I was second guessing it, and I decided that I think I should learn DFDB recognition. Talked about it before. I still use BU. It just was automatic for me. However, the human reaction time is like a quarter of a second on average. I mean, you could say, for pro esports athletes, it's like 150 milliseconds, which is lower than a quarter of a second, but either way, that's a pretty big amount of time. And for BU, I have to recognize my BU and execute it immediately if I'm trying to cancel. So basically, that's a quarter second pause that I'm almost guaranteed every solve. And with DFDB, actually using Lookahead, which I'm going to show you in today's video, you can resolve all of that. So I'll talk a little bit about my practice, and then I'll get into the tutorial. The tutorial is going to start at the timestamp. I'm going to throw it somewhere on the screen. And yeah, with that, let's talk about how I practiced this week. Monday, I learned kind of DFDB and how it works and how to do it for misoriented centers and how early you can recognize it in a solve. Then I practiced with my bad EOLR cases because I haven't practiced in like 3 or 4 weeks, so they're even worse now than they were when I stopped practicing. So yeah, worked through those with trying to do DFDB recognition for the ending cycle case, and that worked somewhat. And Tuesday I just went to all EOLRs doing times on CS timer, and I did like 270, so got way more confident with EOLR or with DFDB recognition there, and with the system and where you can recognize your center case early and tracking DFDB, getting a little more comfortable with that. Still not super great. And then Wednesday I did like about 200 more, still getting just some more reps in, getting more comfortable, still not great with DFDB. And then Thursday was busy. Friday, I had to drive home, which is where I'm at now. And then Saturday, we had some Easter activities. Sunday, we didn't have as many, the family gathering side of Easter activities. So later on in the evening, I did some more. I did like 500, so a lot more. I think my LSD is going to be really clean after that. But over the course of that longer session, my mental, my mental fortitude just kind of started to give way, and I stopped, always tracking DFDB edges, which I found that I totally can do. I just have to focus on that. Like, I have to really focus. So that'll be something to work on in the coming weeks. But that's pretty much where I'm at with it and my approach to learning it. I'll give an overview after I teach the technique on how I recommend learning it, but that's that. I just want to preface this by saying, hey, this can be a lot for sure, and totally get that, but I think that the sooner you learn this, the better. And I'm sorry for the clutter. This is not my desk. This is my sister's desk, actually. It was just a quieter room in the house. Sorry. Basically, for this kind of case where you're just inserting your ULUR edges normally, so there's my red one, there's my orange one. I'm tracking DFDB, and I know they're here and here. I'm going to check this center and this edge, these two right here, first. And if they match like they do here, then I'm going to try and place these opposite on the M slice. So you'll see that as I insert here, I'm now going to try and place these opposite on the M slice. So one I know is back here and the other DFDB edge is here. I place them opposite on the M slice like that. And then I raise the dot. So raising the dot, if you haven't heard yet, there's 2 and there's 1. The 1 is the dot. You do the M move that keeps this in the top layer, this edge. So, and then it should be really straightforward from there. If not, you can raise the dot again. Now, sometimes you'll have a case where you have matching like this, and then you place them diagonal. And it didn't cancel here if you notice that these are both solved, but you're gonna raise the dot, and then you'll have to raise the dot again with this one being different. Moving on to the case where they are not matching. So for example, this case here, they are not matching, and I'm going to track these as I insert them. And so that one came to the front here. You can see that. It was here, it came here. Then, because it's not matching, instead of trying to place them diagonal, I'm going to just solve each side. Now here, I did end up solving each side and placing them diagonal, but your goal is just to solve the left and right sides with your AUF. Then from there, I'm going to just raise the dot because they are diagonal. Sometimes they will not be diagonal. So for example here, we have non-matching, and when I insert the edges, we brought one DFDB edge here, and the other one, when we solve the corners, is going to come on top of it, so they're not diagonal. And because they're not diagonal, that's not good. So because they're stacked, as I like to call it, like they're both on the same, if you're looking at the M slice from the side, like that, like this, they're both stacked. What we do is a M2 and then a U2. So double. And then we raise the dot. So here, the dot is here. We'll do M move, U2, and then it's trivial. Now, misoriented centers, as I said, is a little bit more confusing. However, it actually ends up being significantly easier most of the time. For this one, we have misoriented centers, as you can see. We're going to check these two, and we're going to see that they're matching. I want you to just not be alarmed by the fact that everything looks off here, because all you got to do is you got to see that these two are matching, so we know that it's matching centers. That's where we check the centers, as we're about to insert. Because it's matching centers, we know that our DFDB edges are here, and we're, instead of normally, with the other one, we wanted to try and place them diagonal. For misoriented centers, we're actually going to try and make them stacked because it was matching with the center back here. This was a matching center, and so that means that this is potentially a matching center, or at least that we want to stack them. So we stack them like this, and then we raise the dot. Sometimes you'll encounter a case like this where it's matching, and the other edge is here, which means that basically when I insert, they're both going to be in the bottom layer, so there's no way for me to stack them. And whenever they're both in the bottom layer, even if they're non-matching or matching, because they're both in the bottom layer, one of them will at least be non-matching, which means you can't cancel. With that, you're just going to solve the left and right edge, sides like normal, and then you're just going to raise the dot. So here I raise the dot, and then here I raise the dot, and then it's one move away. That's how you do it whenever they're in the same layer, either the top layer or the bottom layer. You're just going to solve the sides and raise the dot. Okay, now when they're non-matching and you have the DFDB edges like this where they're kind of adjacent, which you'll be tracking, but basically what that means is that they're going to end up in two different layers and you have non-matching. So you're going to solve the left and right sides with your AUF move, and that should put the DFDB edges diagonal. And normally, for the oriented centers, we called diagonal, like that was kind of our goal. We were always trying to get it to diagonal. But for misoriented centers, we were trying to get them stacked. Get stacked. And so this is the bad case, basically. This represents the bad case for misoriented centers, which means we do the M2, U2 first, and then we raise the dot. That's how you recognize them from the very basic inserts. I'm going to show you how to recognize them from the more advanced inserts. All right, so for the special inserts, this one here, where we have opposite bar, you know that you're gonna do this with an M, U2, M prime. And the center we're gonna check, we don't have a center here, like we would here. We can't see that center even during this whole insert. We could look there, but you can actually just check either center, either the front or the back. So here we're gonna check the center and it's matching. So we know we have a matching case, which means we're gonna wanna place the DFDB edges diagonal. And so we know that we just put one into the back here, you can see that, and the other one would go here to be diagonal, and it looks like we actually got a cancellation case here. And for this case, where we have the solved bar, you can see the other edge in the back, what we are going to do is we're going to check the centers here. So yet again, we're going to be checking basically like the bottom two centers. You could really lump these together in your brain as just, oh, I have an LR edge here, so just check with this one. And for this one, it's going to go M prime, U2, M prime. We already saw that it was non-matching right here. And we're going to track the DFDB edges. We had one back here, which is now up here. And then we're going to solve LR because it's non-matching. And that stacks them, right? You can see that they're stacked. So we do an M2 and then a U2, and then we raise the dot. All right, now this is the one move arrow where these are opposite, or you could recognize it as these being matching. And or you could even recognize it as these being matching if you have it from the back. But no matter where you have it from, you're able to see these two in the top layer, and these are the centers that we're going to be checking. So for this one, I know that we have non-matching centers, and this is obviously going to be misoriented centers. So then I'm going to track, obviously that's a DFDB edge, the other one you can see here, and then I'm going to solve the left and right edges, which places them diagonal on the M slice. We don't want that in misoriented centers, so we do M2, U2, then raise the dot. And for this last one, we have the good arrow, but where it is a solvable, cancelable into inserting your ULUR edges. So you can see this is opposite, or you could see that this is matching, however you want to recognize that. From here, this is the most difficult one, I think, to recognize, but we're going to do our first move of our solution, which in this case is a M, because then we got to set them up on top of each other. And we can look at these two centers here. So you have to check the non-LR edge in the side of the arrow. So one of these is LR, the other one. And you check it with the center after you do your first move. Now, if you have it from the front, you can see that a lot sooner. However, from the back, we have to wait until it's in the top layer like this. So we see that it's non-matching. We're trying to track DFDB edges. They're both here, which is really easy to see. And then that will solve one into the bottom. Now we know it's non-matching, so we just solve our sides first. That placed them diagonal, and so we're just going to simply raise the dot. And then here it looks like we have to raise the dot again, and then it's trivial. So that's how you do it for all the different special inserts. I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. I read those way more often than y'all comment, and that is not quite it. I do want to talk about really quick how you should go about learning DFDB. So when you go to learn DFDB edges, I would recommend, hey, watching this video, learning all of the special inserts, or at least the ones that you're going to use. I would say you want to learn the system, and you want to just take it really slow at first, get comfortable. Don't even worry about tracking DFDB edges, just look around the cube for them, and just make sure that you are effectively doing it with the recognition method, and then slowly move to doing that in a speed solve kind of context, like where you're moving faster. And still don't worry about trying to track DFDB edges. We'll get there when we get there. And I think that'll develop pretty intuitively over time, so you don't have to stress about trying to actively do that. You want to just look around the cube again for those DFDB edges when it comes to that point. And this is going to cause a little bit more of a pause, especially if you're used to a different recognition method. However, once you've gotten to that point, you want to start forcing yourself to track DFDB edges. So what I recommend doing to just get the most reps in as fast as possible is doing pure LSC solves. So it's just an LSC scramble. And I like using CS timer for this. However, there's a slight problem where oftentimes when they're scrambling LSC, they don't know that when you use roux, oh wow, I just accidentally solved it. When you use roux, you always orient your centers. So if you can see here, I have an orange center on top, but yellow corners. I would never have that happen after second block. I would orient that. And so what I do is, if the centers are misoriented, I just always start with an M prime, FDB edges, and you get faster and faster with that. And then it's just all free from there.